YouTube fan, what's going on? Smash that like button. Double tap that screen. And let's get down to it. Y'all know exactly what this is. Y'all know what this is. Let me get my moderators out here. Shout out to my mods. Texas is letting it be known. Texas is letting it be known, y'all. We about to talk about it. As you come into the live stream, make sure you hit that like button. Let me get this out to my moderators. If you're just coming into the live stream, make sure you hit the like button on your way in. We appreciate it. It sends a message to YouTube to let them know that you appreciate this live stream and it's worth sending new viewers to this particular live stream. Open Eyes Media, uncovering the shit that they cover up. Uncovering the corruption while they try to cover it up. We not letting it happen. These PDFs is coming. We bringing it to the light. Absolutely. Moderators, when you come into the live, make sure you check in to let me know you're here. Let's see what's going on. All right, the title says Trump in terror as Texas wants him thrown out. Wow, Texas, Norbert, what'd it do? I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. You're doing just fine, Norbert. Double tap that screen for me when you come to the live.
Donald Trump is in terror as the voters in Texas have turned against him and his MAGA stooge, Ken Paxton. What you saw right there, a crowd of more than 4,000 people in Ken Paxton's hometown. They were there for James Tallarico, the Democratic candidate for that United States Senate seat in Texas. And the crowd was chanting, "Lock him up Ken Paxton," who released a pedo on the street. Ken Paxton himself has engaged in crime after crime. He's impeached. He's corrupt and rotten to the core. And lock him up, lock up Donald Trump as well. The people in Texas are pissed at what Donald Trump did to the state. How pissed? Donald Trump's approval right now in Texas, in the latest Economist poll, net negative 24. May I repeat that? Donald Trump is in terror because his approval in the great state of Texas right now is net negative 24, and James Tallarico is drawing massive crowds of over 4,000 people, all chanting in unison, "Lock him up." And right now, Democrats are not playing around. This is not when they go low, we go high. This is call him out, be aggressive, shut him up, and let's save democracy, damn it. Can I just show you another video of this massive crowd from Ken Paxton's home county right here? They're out for James Tallarico. Look how big this crowd is.
Can you imagine? You're out campaigning in your hometown and they are cheering for the other guy. Ken Paxton, you need to kick your own self up the ass. This is embarrassing. Shut him down.
Let me play you this video. Let me show you another angle of it right here. Let's play it.
God dang.
So is Donald Trump and Ken Paxton and state regime media, which calls itself Fox, are in terror over what's going down in Texas, where Donald Trump is a net negative 20.
Shout out to Texas, man. I thought y'all said Texas was going to stay red. Texas was MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Texas was going to back Donald Trump. Does not look that way. We've been told y'all a long time ago that it was going this way. But now we got proof and we can see it. So MAGA, read it and weep. Your time up.
And he's getting lower, folks. What are they doing? How are they going after James Tallarico? Well, they're basically saying that James Tallarico is a transgender person. This is the level of maturity that we have in MAGA. They say Tallarico, he's transgender and he's gay. He's transgender and gay. Does he have a girlfriend? It's beyond weird what these MAGAs are doing. And in fact, they're just showing how pathetic they are. This is what they've got. This is what they've got to try to bully more marginalized communities and then go after James Tallarico. He's a vegan and he's, what are you even talking about? Watch Donald Trump literally in terror. Just look how pathetic he looks also. Play this clip.
They never change it. I hate to bring it up. I like to bring it up just before the elections because they won't change men playing in women's sports. They won't, this transgender, this guy running in Texas, he says there are 6 genders. He wears a mask all the time. He's a disaster candidate, I'll tell you. I think Ken Paxton's going to absolutely just destroy him.
So then Ken Paxton rushed to state.
Wrong. Ken Paxton got his ass kicked.
Regime media that's pushing out all the propaganda for him and Donald Trump. And Maria Bartiromo goes, so what do you do about the perception of you from the Wall Street Journal and others that you're a corrupt guy? And Ken Paxton's like, well, that's what they say about Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump can do it, I can do it. Here, play this clip.
Well, what are you going to do about your own record and your own perception? The Wall Street Journal describes you as scandal plagued.
Well, look, that was all pushed by Karl Rove, and I understand how that works, and I get why they said that. But the reality is, they could say the same thing about Donald Trump. When you're fighting the fight, unfortunately, you get attacked. And you have to defend yourself. And when you do that and they're not successful, they still accuse you of things.
Here's the latest from Harry Enton on some of the polling. This polling shows Tallarico up 44 to 40% against Paxton. And some of the latest top polling out of Texas shows that lead 47-44. However you look at it, Tallarico's up.
Not to mention they spent millions of dollars on this campaign, and they still getting their ass kicked.
About 3 to 5 points right now on Paxton. Here, play this clip.
Choice for Texas Senate. You got Tallarico here at 44%. And then look at here. Ken Paxton, a Republican in Texas. The best he can do at this point is averaging 40% of the vote. I mean, I was looking at all the polling I could find. This is the best that a Democrat for Senate has been polling since 2002. That is a very long time ago. When you have to go all the way back since I was in middle school, you know that the Democrat in this particular case is polling well in Texas.
So state regime media right now is going to throw all of their bag of tricks at Tallarico, and they're going to try to say, oh, it's Texas. He's Texas. He's gay, or he's transgender. He's a vegan. He doesn't like barbecue in Texas. Really? While Ken Paxton is out there literally letting pedos on the street, Ken Paxton let a guy back on the street who abused who raped a little boy, who sexually assaulted a little boy for years. Paxton went out of his way to help the pedo. Folks, this is the Epstein class in action, protecting the Epstein class. Let's be honest. Let's be real. These are sickos. These are disgusting, disgusting humans. So no wonder James Tallarico's drawing 4,000 people who are out there, not just cheering for Tallarico, but against this sicko Epstein class that's out there protecting the predators, protecting the cabal, these sickos. And this is what Fox is doing. Here they are saying, Tallarico, he likes baby lotion. He likes baby lotion. What? Here, play this clip.
Be sealed. Those are the only kind of Democrats that are going to succeed in Texas. It is not this baby lotion soft child. He looks prepubescent.
Badonkadonk programming. Man, shout out to you. You're a smart individual. I appreciate minds like you coming across my live stream. And Randy Gray, you little bum. Who the fuck you calling sick? You support a fucking...
He looks like such a beta male. He was Beta O'Rourke was his big brother in the after school program.
They'll say, but he's a seminarian. How dare you not?
He put the semen in seminarian as in naval, because if he were a Navy SEAL, it wouldn't help him.
All right.
So then they find out, actually, James Tallarico has a girlfriend. By the way, if James Tallarico is gay, if James Tallarico is transgender, if James Tallarico is vegan, who cares? Who cares? What are you, 2 years old? You know, let's respect all human beings and all human dignity. He isn't. It's a weird way to attack him. By the way, here's James Tallarico with his girlfriend right there at a music festival. And then New York Post is like, Dem Senate candidate James Tallarico, mysterious girlfriend revealed. And she's a vegan, everybody. So as this one account says, okay, here's the Oppo research on Tallarico. He is in a loving relationship with a beautiful girlfriend. Here's the Oppo research on Paxton. He literally freed a pedophile and his wife divorced him on biblical grounds. But that won't stop these snarky, just disgusting people on Fox. Here they go. Jesse Waters is like, he's low T. He's low T Tallarico. You're low T, Jesse Waters. You're up there wearing makeup every day. Not there's anything wrong with it, but you're as low T as you get. Nothing wrong with it. Here, play this clip.
All right, well, it was a historical defeat militarily, and
just because you 6th generation Texas fucktard don't mean you run shit in Texas, bitch. Ain't nobody listening to you.
could we see another historical defeat in Texas? Because the Democrats have nominated James Tallarico, who to me just screams Texas.
Well, first of all, I think it is very bold. One could even say brave, courageous, that the Democratic Party would choose Texas, of all places, to nominate their first transgender.
Hey, Mike Hunt, you making up shit, man. You're looking bad right now. I'll show you some real evidence, not speculation.
Senate candidate who's clearly transitioning into a female.
And we heard from Stephen Miller on Tallarico. Yeah, Stephen Miller, he's the guy who's going to be telling us about masculinity.
Nobody listens to me, but they on my live stream. Okay.
Stephen Miller's like, you know, I think that he's a transgender man. He's transgender. What is up with these people? You know, and here's what they want to do. They want to distract you from the fact that Donald Trump is pillaging.
Look, y'all, Mike Hunt upset. YouTube not even posting your shit. You so far off. Why is you trying to fucking convince me of some shit that everybody already know?
Texas and states across this country. They want to distract you from the fact that while Donald Trump is out there doing 3,800 stock trades, making billions of dollars for him and his family, while Donald Trump's out there talking about golden ballrooms and quid pro quos with the Qataris and the...
First of all, bitch, Trump ain't never been exonerated, so stop your fucking lying. Just because a retarded, small dick, bitch-ass boy in the comments section is saying somebody got exonerated don't mean shit. You fucking whack jobs think you can just talk your way out of a fucking pedo case? No, you can't, bitch. We holding your ass to the fire. Fuck you, Mike Hunt. Fuck you, Trump. Fuck all you motherfuckers. You're a bunch of low-life pieces of shit.
Saudis, and then also destroying the Middle East and getting us involved in catastrophic wars there, while Kushner's out there somehow like acting like he works for the United.
All the fuck you could say is some weak ass shit like that. You don't have no fucking support to support your weak ass president. Unless you just gonna say, show us the evidence. You weak motherfucker support fucking bitch ass motherfuckers.
States while he's doing business deals with the Saudis, Qatar, and the UAE, and they're screwing us over here while people can't afford anything. They're going to go, oh, he's transgender. It's
Mike Hunt is
so
so
ridiculous
mad,
what they're doing. Here's Stephen Miller
You a
right here.
fucking
Let's
bitch.
play it.
When Talarico goes in for a blood test, when he gets a physical, blood doesn't come out. Instead, soy milk comes out. This man has less testosterone than Jasmine Crockett. It is a mind-boggling choice. They would choose.
Nah, not like Obama loved your motherfucking wife. Not like your wife loved Obama, boy.
Person to run for that office who looks like he doesn't belong in the Senate but in a cabaret show. Look, at the end of the day, I have a hard time believing.
Hey, Mike Hunt, this is you getting pissed on by Trump, you big dummy.
That the people of Texas, some of the toughest, roughest, strongest men and women, the pioneer heritage, the frontier history from the Mexican American
You gotta talk a little nicer, man. YouTube not liking nothing that you're saying, Mike.
war through the Alamo and everything else are going to choose somebody with that much soy to be a U.S. senator.
Republicans make terrible comedians.
compared to a real conservative, patriotic, God-fearing, and
Hold on. Aunt Banks said MAGA and Republicans aren't winning shit. Trump corporate companies, the millionaires, billionaires are winning. Not you broke-ass motherfuckers with red hats.
truly beloved statewide figure in Ken Paxton.
I mean, it's again so utterly despicable. Now let me.
MAGA men sound kind of gay. Hot thriving brain. Shout out to you in the chat. Mike Hunt, YouTube don't want to hear shit you got to say, bruh.
Share with you
Mike Hunt is bothered,
what
y'all.
James Talarico had to
Mike
say
Hunt
about Ken
inferior ass.
Paxton. Here's what he just said at that speech. Let's play it.
They're going to throw everything they've got at us. They've already called me a radical leftist. They've already called me a fake Christian. They've even called me a vegan.
One thing you can't deny about your mama is she would let a black dude run her ass and love it. I guarantee you. She would let a black dude run her ass. I guarantee you. She would get on her knees with both of her knees touching, nice and comfortable, looking up like a dirty girl should. And you would be sitting over there, man. You're going to be sitting over there saying, Mom, don't do it, Mom, please. No, Mom. Don't do it, Mom, please, no.
And those are fighting words in the state of Texas. You know, I'm an 8th generation Texan. I've been eating barbecue since before Ken Paxton's first indictment. They're going to call our movie.
You know why this picture is so fucking hilarious? Because it's true. That's why it's so fucking funny, because it's true.
Movement un-Texan, un-American. They're going to call us a threat. The only truth out of all of those lies is that we are a threat. We're a threat to their corrupt system.
And let me show you the first ad that was released right here from James Talarico about how Ken Paxton is a pedo protector. Here, play this clip.
Adam Hoffman received a controversial plea deal from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Hoffman
has admitted to abusing a little boy over the course of 3 horrific years.
The Attorney General's office made a plea deal with Hoffman.
And as part of the deal, he will not have to register as a sex offender.
Paxton's office inexplicably reduced a first-degree felony charge to misdemeanors.
The victim's family are accusing the Attorney General's office of failing to protect the victim.
Lawmakers are condemning Attorney General Ken Paxton.
The whole thing is a travesty of justice.
It resulted in nationwide outrage.
Saying this.
Look, y'all, the number one Democrats are idiots. You're an idiot. That's y'all number one comment. So what? You think I'm an idiot? Bitch, you like Donald Trump. Who's the real idiot?
State failed to justly prosecute this case.
Adam Hoffman was caught leaving jail, refusing to comment on his case after serving 29 days of a 60-day sentence.
We still don't know why Hoffman was able to cut his sentence short.
What if you could learn more about your health in under an hour? The Pernuvo whole body scan gives you a comprehensive look at your health, screening for over 500
Tallarico
You just take a look right here at Tallarico versus Paxton. Tallarico, only member of the Texas legislature who's never taken corporate PAC money, former public school teacher in San Antonio, Presbyterian, studying to become a pastor, passed legislation to lower the cost of childcare.
I can't wait to have so much fucking fun on here after these midterms. I want to hear what you bitches. I already can tell y'all right now, y'all gonna say they cheated. Trump gonna say they cheated. They're gonna say there's an unfair election process, and the election process is flawed in America. Shut your bitch ass up. You lost.
Housing and medicine, whereas Ken Paxton indicted on 3 felony counts for investment fraud. Staff reported him to the FBI for bribery. He was impeached by his own party in the Texas House of Representatives. He's a serial cheater. He stole $1,000 from another lawyer, and he lets out pedos. The Waco Tribune Herald: Paxton pressure builds after local plea deal for releasing this pedo on the street. And let's leave with something positive, though, to show you why the people of Texas.
My man said, yeah, Chump played all of us. Any dumbass voting for this uniparty this country has, get what you vote for. Never again sitting on my hands. Fuck you, Chump. Smash that like button, y'all.
Are so thrilled about Tallarico right now, why he's drawing massive crowds. Here's the video that he talked about why he's running for Senate. This left me with chills. Here, play this clip.
The biggest divide in our country is not left versus right. It's top versus bottom. Billionaires want us looking left and right at each other so that we're not looking up at them. The people at the top work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by party, by race, by gender, by religion, so that we don't notice that they're defunding our schools, gutting our healthcare, and cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It is the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. But we will not be conquered. We're underdogs in this fight. We're going up against those billionaire mega donors and their puppet politicians. We're going up against a rigged system, and we're going up against a lot of money. But I'm a former middle school teacher. I don't scare easily. And Texans don't scare easily. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. He taught me that we follow a barefoot rabbi who gave 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. Because there is no love of God without love of neighbor. Every single person bears the image of the sacred. Every single person is holy. Not just my neighbors who look like me, or pray like me, or vote like me. Those billionaires are trying to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They're trying to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across party, across race, across gender, across religion, to take power back for ourselves and our communities. 2,000 years ago, when the powerful few rigged the system, that barefoot rabbi walked into the seat of power and flipped over the tables of injustice. To those who love this state, to those who love this country, to those who love our neighbors. It's time to start flipping tables.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think about all of this. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks so much for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the Midas Touch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I got to get in on this.
Smash that like button when y'all coming to the live, y'all. We uncovering all of
3 reasons guys regret trying Rougiette Ready. 1, it kicks in way faster than expected. Rougiette Ready dissolves right.
Look at the time. It must be legal AF, the podcast on Midas Touch with Karen Freeman McNiffalo and Michael Popok. Wait till you hear the rundown. Not Karen. Karen knows the rundown. Wait to hear the rundown of what we're going to do today and the guests that.
Donald Trump is spiraling this morning off the news that only 13% of Americans strongly approve of his regime. Also, there was a new PCE inflation readout. It came in hotter or far worse than expected. Donald Trump has caused the United States economy to be in absolute shambles right now. People are pissed. So what does Donald Trump do? He goes on a right-wing podcast and he says,
bitch, shut up. Don't talk about God and Donald Trump in the same sense on my live stream, bitch. That's a motherfucking strike, bitch. You say anything about God and Donald Trump again, bitch, I'm putting you the fuck out. We don't tolerate nothing about God and Donald Trump, bitch. That's blasphemy. Don't even do that in this bitch. You say something else, bitch, you gone.
Looked at me. Affordability. It was a new word. Nobody ever heard the word. It was a new word that they devised because they're quite good at that. They're not good at running a country, but they're good at, I guess, good at politics. I don't know. They have some awfully bad policy for people.
Then Donald Trump starts attacking Canada, and he says they don't have anything that we need or we want, and we need to teach Canada a lesson. He continues his attacks on Canada, our closest ally, because he's literally demonic and an idiot, and he will only cause further inflation in the United States. Play this clip.
Won't do anything. In other words, we won't trade. They don't have anything that we have to have. Okay, we can get by.
Pitbull, what it do? Got a bunch of fucking, this bitch, Celia. Her bald head ass been in this bitch lying and talking about God and all this dumbass shit. I told that bitch, you mention God and Trump again, bitch, you're gone. I promise you that.
I mean, there are a couple of things that would make it a little inconvenient, but we could get them elsewhere. And it's time to teach Canada you can't do this anymore. We lose $60 billion and really more than that, $60 billion a year with Canada.
As noted, inflation surging. U.S. July PCE inflation has come in hotter than expected. That's the Fed's preferred inflation metric. It hit 3.7% above expectations of 3.6%. Core PCE inflation was 3.3%, the second highest reading since October 2024. But as Heather Long, economist, says, the biggest story in the PCE data from this morning is the consumer. Consumer fatigue is starting to show up. In July, personal consumption was only 0.2%. Once you adjust for inflation, personal consumption was flat. You can see consumers straining to pay the basics, especially healthcare and utilities. Meanwhile, they are cutting back everywhere they can, especially anything home or car related. There was a modest rise in personal income, but we'll have to see if it's sustained, is what she says over there. So then what Donald Trump does next, he starts to say that, Dolly Parton, who, tragically passed away yesterday, she really liked me. She loved me. She wouldn't say it out loud, but she absolutely loved me. I mean, she didn't, but this is how he frames the story of Dolly Parton's legacy around him. He is a real sicko. Here, play this clip.
She really liked me, I will tell you, but she also wanted to stay very, she was of the opinion, the 50% who needs to lose I don't think it's 50. I think it's probably 20% of the fans. Okay, not 50. But she was a great person, and she was just a nice person. You know, I liked her a lot, and I thought it was a natural thing to lower the flags.
Then he continues to attack Canada even more and says, we're taking them on. We're taking them on hard. We're going to crush them. What are you doing? There's no American who wants this. Like, y'all are really just a bunch of lunatics. And Canada is united. Prime Minister Carney is very popular among the people. They're 75%, and rightfully so, because he's fighting back against your despicable regime. And all you're doing is hurting the American people. Here, play this clip.
It was terrible.
Yes.
But they have taken advantage of the United States for many decades, actually. They charge tariffs that are unbelievable, like on milk, 400%, and on like, and I just said we're taking them on, and I took them on at the beginning, but we had so many other things to do because the country was a mess. But I said we're going to take them on, we're going to stop it, and you saw the Lake Ontario. You know, people thought I was kidding, but maybe I wasn't, because the last one you saw was the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America.
I know.
So now we have a Gulf and we have a lake, okay? You know, it's very simple. But look, I don't want to go into great detail because it's maybe boring to people, but to me it's not boring. They charge tariffs. They take advantage of us as though they were a state, and they're not a state. And they've taken our car industry, and they've taken our agriculture industry.
Yeah.
You know, the farmers can't sell anything in there because the tariffs are so enormous, and yet they want to sell in us without.
Now, state regime media Fox had to report on the latest awful inflation numbers that just came in this morning. Listen to what they said.
And we can kind of talk about this, and I want to get your thoughts on what we're seeing here. And the market actually pulled back about 40 points or so, 50 points on this one. All right, so July PCE, we came in a little bit hotter than expected month to month, a gain of 0.2% month to month. The expectation was 0.1%, 3.7% year over year. This is July PCE.
That's hot.
That is a hot number, yeah. The expectation was 3.6. Core came in line at
Wise Crow, appreciate you, man. Hope to see you around a lot more often.
0.2% up, and then core year over year came in line with expectations, 3.3. But we have seen a reversal in future.
And then you had California Governor Gavin Newsom address the Canadian people. Here's what he said.
I feel you on that, Mandy.
Play this clip.
I've enjoyed from my days as mayor of San Francisco relationships with your consul general. I've seen prime ministers come and go. I had a good relationship with the last prime minister. I've had the pleasure of being up from my early days up in Hudson Bay and out there with the beluga whales and great memories in some of the great cities in Canada. So I love your country. I love the people. I love the investment. And so for me, this is just, who I am. I'm proud of the work I've done as governor. I'm proud of the relationship we've had with your country. And I just want folks to know California is a stable partner. We do not in any way, shape, or form condone the behavior of this president as it relates to how he's treated you and just in the condescending terms. I'm disgusted.
Who that old Gavin Newsom? Smash that like button, y'all. Double tap that screen, man. Live. Open Eyes Media. And this is where we're gonna open your eyes, uncover what they cover up. Subscribe, smash, like, all that. Share the live.
And I just want folks up north to know that there are a lot more Americans like me than there are like Donald Trump.
More Trump regime officials this morning attacking Canada. You have criminal Peter Navarro going on right-wing propaganda networks saying the following. Play this clip.
It starts with the fact that Canada cheats us. They cheat us on dairy. They won't let us sell our.
Sheila Ross, but of course, we gotta give it to them like it's really happening.
Alcoholic beverages there. Lumber's a mess.
Yeah.
And we gave them a really good deal. That deal was so good that it kind of made me a little bit nervous because it was a good deal. It was a fair deal.
Mm-hmm.
Jameson Greer negotiated it well, but it was right up to the edge where you want to be about being as fair to your trading partner as you possibly. And that Carney, He said he went off on his Trump derangement thing, and here's the rule here. There's a rule here. The higher Carney goes in his polling in politics, appealing to this Trump derangement syndrome, the lower their economy is going to fall.
Senator Angus King put out the following. He's from Maine. This is the statement that he put out. He warned that a trade war with Canada could devastate many industries, particularly as it relates to Maine, the lobster industry, noting Maine lobsters could be pinched twice since much of it gets sent to Canada for processing before being re-imported to the U.S. The potential tariff double whammy is a concern that Alex Seatswald, he's a reporter in the area, that he's heard from lobstermen who tend to be pretty right-wing, along with questions about what trade disputes mean for foreign lobster demand, imported fishing gear, diesel prices, and more. Well, I'll answer it for the lobstermen in Maine, many of who I know watch this show. It's going to make the prices significantly more expensive. It's going to make the input prices significantly more expensive. It's going to cut off export markets as well, and it's going to cause, again, all of the prices to increase. And it's also going to harm tourism, which it already has, as Canada's gone elbows up, and they've boycotted American goods and services, and they've boycotted hospitality and traveling to the United States. So with all of this going on, what else is, that's Donald Trump doing that podcast this morning. Well, guess what else you have? You have the right-wing extremist Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas sitting down on a podcast with MAGA Republican extremist Senator Ted Cruz. I mean, what the hell is even going on? I mean, that's why the name of our book is WTF America. As one person notes, a sitting Supreme Court justice doing a buddy podcast interview with a sitting senator. I guess they don't even pretend to keep the Supreme Court above the political fray and nonpartisan. But let's be clear who the they are. It's MAGA. It's Trumpism. It's these right-wing, extreme fascists. That's who it is. This isn't normal politics. This isn't the way it used to be. This is what Trumpism and MAGA fascism.
Trump is the worst president since Trump
has done in this country. And the United States of America is so much better than this crap. Just take a look at what Ted Cruz and Clarence Thomas were doing. This is the teaser. Here, play this clip.
Biography of Justice Clarence Thomas. It is entitled Going Further, the Incomparable Clarence.
Trump is the man who likes kids.
Thomas. And Justice Thomas very kindly agreed to sit for 9.5 hours of one-on-one interviews with me over the past year.
So I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. You have to have pre-alcohol before you go out. I love getting together with friends on the weekend, but I also want to be up early the next morning with my family and ready to go. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered prebiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. I seriously could not go out without this. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct and not dehydration that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme but I tried it. Believer.com/order.
Saying on podcasts in Israel for the Netanyahu regime. One of Netanyahu's top advisors said, the Israeli diaspora affairs minister said, "What do we do with the Palestinians? Let's start by defining it as enemy, because the moment you don't know how to say that you have an enemy, you start confusing yourself. First of all, you have to understand what this thing called an enemy actually is." And then Netanyahu said on Iran, "I want to tell you, we still have challenges ahead of us. The challenge of Iran has not ended. We also have to finish the challenge in Gaza, in Lebanon, and in other arenas, and we are determined to do it." You mean the genocide for which you are a war criminal under the international criminal courts, to which the Trump regime, in order to help you, have sanctioned the president of the ICC, Tomoko Akani? And I just want you to hear those words from the Netanyahu regime as our farmers are suffering here in the United States. Our manufacturers, all Americans are suffering. Gas prices are at record high. Diesel prices are at record high. People can't afford homes here. People have had their health care ripped away. American people are struggling right now all across the board here. We saw that in the inflation readout. We're getting into these never-ending wars because of Netanyahu's destruction in the area. It's sick. It's sick. And then the United States sanctioned the International Criminal Court's president, Tomoko Akani. This Trump regime is a sick group of people. This is what ICC President Tomoko Akani said on the U.S. sanctions against her. This is what she said this morning. They will not change the way I approach my judicial duties, nor will I allow myself to be pressured by these threats. We will make every effort to ensure that the sanctions do not impair our work in the slightest. Justice will and should prevail. That's what you have to do to stand up to this despicable Trump regime. Going back to that weird Trump podcast appearance from earlier. So what was the Trump CIA Putin meeting all about? Although in Russia, they claim that Putin didn't even want to meet with CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and it was just Ratcliffe meeting with Russian intelligence. Donald Trump's like, well, I don't want to disappoint people, but it was just a pretty routine meeting. And then Donald Trump blabbers about whatever. He can't speak in actual sentences, so he just blabbers about whatever else is on his mind. But by the way, didn't you see a lot of people go after my reporting and they were like, Ben, no, Ratcliffe is going there to stand up to Putin. And he's going to tell Putin, we've got Ukraine's back, man. And Donald Trump is giving you a final warning, Putin. I'm like, what would lead you to believe that? Trump is a Putin bootlicker. He has always been a Putin bootlicker. And so what would make you think that the Trump regime is going to stand up to Putin? I'm like, it's the most ridiculous cosplay fantasy that you have in your mind that that's what the meeting was actually about. And it wasn't. It was Trump. It was a routine meeting, and it was probably to kiss Putin's ring. Here, play this clip right here.
Adam, can you tell me why our CIA director flew in the middle of the night to meet with the Russians?
Well, none of the above. He's there on, very sort of semi-routine. I hate to disappoint people. We would like to see the war with Ukraine end. That's a war would have never started, Glenn, if I were president. That's one of the negatives of not having it done that way. I think this way has actually turned out to be bigger in many ways, but you wouldn't have had the war with Ukraine, and you wouldn't have had 25 million people coming into our country like they did, just come in like we were a bunch of fools. It was so sad. But they, 20, and I think the number's higher than 25, frankly, but they came in from prisons, and they were drug dealers, and they were murderers, and everything.
Then Donald Trump goes on with how we've really dominated Iran right now. We're really showing them. Here, let's play this clip.
B-2 bombers a little more than a year ago where we knocked out the nuclear to the present. We have really dominated, really, truly dominated.
Then Donald Trump lies and says, well, when he opens up his mouth, he's lying. We've got rid of their mines. We've demined the Strait of Hormuz, man. Everybody knows we control the Strait of Hormuz, man. I know that's the opposite of, I don't want to do a Trump impression with his voice. What do you mean we didn't demine the Strait of Hormuz? You need naval ships that do demining. Then they weren't in there. Just stop being so freaking dumb, man. Just stop. We didn't demine it. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. If we controlled it and there was so much crude coming out.
Hey, we need 10 likes to get to 50. And of course, with the 50 milestone, we want to get to 100 likes. So smash that like button. I need 30, 40 of y'all to hit that like button right now. Let's get it.
Then the price of oil would drop. It's supply and demand, man. Obviously, that's not what's taking place. There's a reason why we're at the salt caverns of our strategic petroleum reserves, tank bottom. It's because we've run out of crude because of you, because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Just stop lying. Every stupid thing that you say is a freaking lie. It's just so dumb. So dumb to have the leader of the United States. Every word's a freaking lie. I mean, he's like us. He's actually a psychotic thing. Like, we just have to, he's a psycho. He's a psychotic thing in the Oval Office. It's ridiculous. Here, play this clip.
The mines are gone. You probably saw that. We put it out yesterday. All the mines. We got rid of the mines. but the straight, it's functioning. It's a functioning straight. Yes, every once in a while there'll be a drone or a rocket or something shot, but it is a very functioning straight. A lot of oil is pouring out. 10 million gallons, 10 million barrels yesterday. But as far
And then he says, I'm prohibiting the Sharia law thing. What do you mean you're prohibiting the Sharia law thing? What are you talking about? Again, this guy's just stupid. Don't freaking elect stupid psychotic people who are bankrupters, who are sexual predators and losers their whole life. This is a freaking loser here. Play this clip.
it's all about, good politics is all about common sense anyway. But I would absolutely prohibit the Sharia law thing. And it is happening in this country a little bit. And when we see it, we take it out. And you have to take it out. You have one system. We have a great system.
And speaking about him being a sexual predator, this morning, the DOJ signaling it's going to appeal the Katie Fang lawsuit ruling, requiring removal of some of the redactions in the Epstein files, right? A federal judge ordered that they produce the Epstein files, they unredact some of the names in the Epstein files. And rather than just do it, just listen to the federal judge, just do it. What's the issue? There's a law, it's the Epstein Transparency Act. The judge told you to do it. What do they say? Appeal! We're going to appeal it. Why? Because they're covering up the Epstein class. They're covering up a group of people who are sick and disgusting. And while they torture you, while they make you suffer, this is what their behavior is. And then finally, you had Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife, going on a state regime media Fox morning podcast style show. And she's asked, what's the best advice you've given JD? And she's like, I just tell him, you need to go off social media. You're on social media too much. Here, play it.
Link, that you also advise JD, our vice president at times. What's the best advice that you've ever given him, politically speaking?
I think the best advice was to take a little bit of a social media break. Okay. A piece of advice that I've been giving him since he encountered social media, because the constant flow of stuff is just so exhausting. And I think that, he did that for Lent. And I think it was a really enjoyable experience for him to kind of step back, to get information less constantly and just get it in bursts.
That's the Trump regime for you. Really despicable, disgusting, vile humans.
I'm ignorant, but you support Trump. Who's better, bitch? I'm ignorant, but you support Trump. I rest my motherfucking case. Shut the fuck up.
And it's not in a political way, not in a, Republicans this, Democrats that, independent. No. Just awful humans. Awful humans. And you just have to recognize that these are bad people who want to do you harm. That's it. It's simple. It's simple. These people are awful. And I'm just showing you the clips. This is what they're saying. I'm showing you what their words are. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Pre-order WTF America now if you can. It's the book I wrote with my brothers. It's available now for pre-order. It comes out October. We'll put a link in the description below. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.
Let me handle your trading for 1 month. All you need is $20 in your brokerage, and you'll see for yourself by the end of it.
But how do you actually do it?
I look for trades while you go about your day.
Like button, y'all.
And you
State regime media, which calls itself Fox News, was in crisis mode, and they are predicting massive losses for MAGA Republicans in the midterms. Even state regime media, Fox, could not hide it. You have Laura Ingraham, one of the biggest MAGA Trump propagandists. She says, we are in a lot of trouble, folks. There are a number of states that Republicans better get their act together. We're talking about losing Iowa, folks. Yep, state regime media in panic mode on live TV. Let's play this clip.
But
But I do think Ned's right that there's some of these states like Kansas and Mississippi that are going to sneak up on Iowa. Yes.
Yeah, I think there are a number of states that Republicans.
Should we add? Can we add woke to the MAGA vocabulary? Saying somebody is woke is no different than saying somebody is a communist or a socialist. Shut up. Shut your dumb ass up.
Better get their act together. Iowa's one of them. Ned, Michael, both of you, thank you.
Then one of the guests on this Laura Ingraham propaganda show says, Republicans are whistling past the graveyard, Laura. We think we're going to do fine. We aren't. We're going to get wiped out in some of these seats that people think are safe Senate seats. Democrats are surging ahead. By the way, did you all see the latest polling in Arkansas where the Democratic candidate is leading Tom Cotton? Democrats can flip Arkansas blue, Texas blue, Michigan can stay blue. You've got Ohio going back to blue. I can name every other state, but you get the point right there. This is North Carolina, Florida. I can keep on going, but let's play this clip.
And I think this is one thing that, we're 10 weeks out from today from the midterms. I think Republicans are kind of whistling past the graveyard on some of these Senate seats that they thought were safe, whether it's South Carolina, whether it's Alaska, whether it's Iowa, whether it's Nebraska, Ohio. We got to kick it into gear over these next 10 weeks, or we're looking at not only losing the House, but losing the Senate as well.
Now, how many times have you and I talked about this, Ned, where it's Paxton in Texas, I don't even see him campaigning at all. Is he campaigning? I haven't seen much of his campaign. I guess he's hoping Trump and Elon Musk save him, but he better get going in Texas.
This is the thing that concerns me. I think there's a great deal of apathy with some of the candidates, but what concerns me even more, Laura, there's real apathy in the grassroots. I think some people are thinking we gave Republicans all the power in 24, House, Senate, White House. It really didn't follow through in some of these promises. The Senate's thumbing their nose at the base over the Save America Act. Gas is $4.10 a gallon. They're not seeing a lot of the things that they voted for. The Iran war is killing us. And we're 10 weeks out. And the problem that we have is that Trump's base is mid to low prop. It's tough to get them out in a non-presidential year. So not only are we suffering on the issues, we're suffering on just a basic turnout. And they're really low propensity voters, which means it's going to be hard to get them to the polls November 3rd unless we give them a real compelling cause to.
Yeah, how about not having socialism? That's a real compelling reason. And we don't want the border reopened because we just deported the highest number of illegal
What up, Kenzie? Shout out to you in the chat.
Aliens in the history of the Trump administration this past month with 50,000. That's not bad.
And then on state regime media Fox, they're like, what the hell is Donald Trump doing with Canada? They're like, Trump's approval is 33% and getting lower. Prime Minister Carney's approval is 75%. Donald Trump can rant and rave like a lunatic and claim that Prime Minister Carney's not popular in Canada. Prime Minister Carney is beloved in Canada. He's like one of the most popular leaders right now in the history of Canada. Donald Trump has the lowest approval at this point since Nixon, and Nixon resigned. And so the state regime media Fox hosts here are saying Trump's got big issues, and this trade war against Canada, the stupidest thing he could possibly do. Here, play this clip.
The president went to Truth Social saying, I would never interfere with Canadians speaking French. In fact, I have never even thought of doing such a stupid thing. This lie was made up by a weak and ineffective prime minister in an attempt to gain political support. At what point is it that Canada's politics are preventing this, Leslie, and that despite the fact that Chris says it's a stepping on politically his own foot,
where the hell you at, New
this
York?
is the president pushing back on unfair practices?
Well, look, if we're going to look at some of the things we don't like, whether it is, the craziness with China, when it comes to Canada, or even just, smaller things like Netflix penalties, you can do this without renaming lakes, and you can do this without imposing tariffs, which do hurt not just the Canadian consumer, the American consumer. But, Mark Carney has a 75% approval rate. Donald Trump is a 33% approval rate. And what you said about tourism, Florida, they're now going.
Hellhound. Go sit on a motherfucking grenade. You mad and bothered. But let me tell your insecure ass some good shit. You better grit your motherfucking teeth. Because it's going to be sad.
into their third quarter down in tourism. And that's a red state, right? But if you talk, and Trey, stop taking my talking points. I was going to talk about Maine. I was going to talk about Michigan. Let's talk about Iowa. 30% of its exports are to Canada. They're our number one trading partner. They're an ally with the fires, Afghanistan, the list goes on. They've been there and have helped us. We shouldn't be having this type of fight. You can have a conversation without doing this. And by the way, I have a t-shirt that says, it's still the Gulf of Mexico. I guess I got to get one for the lake now, too.
Maybe so. Maybe so. All right.
Then state regime media had a guest on who pushed back forcefully against the weird state regime media distraction operation where they talk about that former NBA player Enes Kanter Freedom who showed up at the WNBA match and he's like, I'm a woman, everybody. And he started like mocking the women WNBA players and he's made himself like the central figure in this like bizarre narrative. I'm protecting women by going into the WNBA stadium and mocking the women players and behaving like an absolute psychopath. I mean, what the hell are you doing? But I'll tell you what, this guest on State Regime Media Fox said it better than me. Play this clip.
This settlement check completely changed my life, and it came from a car accident I almost forgot about. I never imagined something this big could come from an accident that felt so small at the time. If you've been in any kind of vehicle accident in the past 2 years, even if you think it was minor, even if you were just a passenger, you might be entitled to far more than you realize. Here's my story.
Why are we intellectualizing or trying to intellectualize this publicity stunt? It's pathetic. It's ridiculous. What are these guys even trying to do? I really don't get it.
Well, they're trying to call out.
What?
They're
trying to play by the WNBA's rules. Come on, guys.
It's exposing the nonsense. Look,
silly.
If you have a policy that you can't say what a woman is, but you have two men that are
Carpe diem, what it do?
They're pushing back against that, and they're the ones that are being silly?
No, it's exhausting. If they wanted this guy, whatever his name is, wants to be Big Will.
Bro, they know goddamn well Kamala wouldn't have did none of that shit. But fuck them. We know they fucking sick, man. Let them be sick.
He should support and fight for bigger salaries for female athletes and for the coaches. So I don't
What
get
is
this.
actually exhausting for a lot of people is men taking over women's sports.
And then in yet another stunning moment on State Regime Media Fox, they revealed that JP Morgan is predicting that as a result of Donald Trump's failed policies, the United States and the rest of the world could be thrust into a global food crisis because of Trump's catastrophic war in Iran and his other international failures. Play this clip.
Talk about another concern. Corn, soybean, wheat conditions are all deteriorating, and JP Morgan is warning of.
Hey, Carp, we know based on polls that we done took that these motherfuckers would deliberately lie. I could say, do Donald Trump care about Americans? And motherfuckers will hit yes, just to be weird.
A potential global food crisis. Could this be the beginning of that, Scott?
Well, they say it is. I mean, they'll make the argument that we're already starting that. We've had some trouble this year with our crops. Mother Nature has not been complying as well. It's not a disaster by any means, but it's just not what we thought we were going to be getting. But the real key here, for the first time in a long time, Ashley, is the fact that we've got a problem with logistics. So weather is taking a back seat.
Just imagine them talking about the way Obama dressed, and this motherfucker got a whole fucking table cover on his motherfucking back.
Logistics around the world has slowed up. I mean, we've heard about the Straits of Hormuz, but we've got another issue in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov with the Kerch Straits. We've got problems there with wheat, and both of them have problems with fertilizer. And when we don't put down as much fertilizer, guess what happens to yields? So this is a cascading event. So this is a logistics issue, it's a weather issue, geopolitical issue, and they're all kind of stacking up, unfortunately, for the perfect storm, where JP Morgan sees food inflation at 5% next year. So that's not good. That could be a problem if we get any real big hiccups with Mother Nature.
And if you're saying, Ben, can it get any weirder than this? Am I in the Twilight Zone watching this video? I'll say, actually, he then had Jesse Waters saying Abdul al-Sayed is a compelling individual, a guy's guy. He said, I like him. Meanwhile, al-Sayed's opponent Rogers is too scared to show up on state regime media Fox. Here, play this clip.
In this case, I thought the interview was fine. Thought it was compelling. He's a confident guy, kind of a guy's guy, but I don't trust him. You know, I like him. I don't want to like him. I like him for some stupid reason, but he's not right for Michigan.
And Jesse Waters throughout the evening. Again, Jesse Waters is a vile human being. He's one of state regime media Fox's biggest propagandists. His mom's a Midas Touch fan, though. Shout out to her. But Jesse, and she knows that this is some bizarre act by her son, Jesse Waters. But he's making a lot of money doing the act, I suppose. And then, remember, she warned him the first day, and she's like, Jesse, don't be a propagandist conspirator. I know she's watching this video. She watches the videos all the time. Anyway, Jesse's like, I actually like Abdul. Here, play this clip.
I actually like Abdul. I probably shouldn't like him, but I do. I think he'd be a terrible senator, and he's a little bit of a lunatic, but at least he's not your typical stiff. Hakeem talked to Kushner because he wanted to help the country. Abdul talked to me because he wanted to help Michigan and himself. And we all learned something, that I'm circumcised.
I'm pretty sure everyone has had that moment where the car starts making a noise it definitely wasn't making yesterday, and immediately you start to think, so how much is this going to cost me? I'm in the car constantly, including with my family. The idea of getting stranded somewhere and then getting slammed with a huge repair bill is not exactly appealing. That's why I love what CarShield offers. They have low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plans with low deductibles that can save you from major out-of-pocket repair expenses. Plus, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, equally brutally our listeners 20% off with the code MAGA off.
In my interview with Abdul Al-Sayed, everybody knows that I'm circumcised right now. Here, play this clip.
Plus everything.
Well, I guess everybody now knows I'm circumcised.
Nothing left to say, I guess.
Writing that down. You know, usually you look at the headlines, and if your headline is all about your penis, usually you've done something very wrong. In this case, I thought the interview was fine.
And you may recall that you had Jesse Waters bringing up genital mutilation and bringing up, all these Fox hosts continue just to talk about like penises and vaginas like all the time, and they misconstrue the issue. That's how they kind of phrase everything. And so Abdul Al-Sayed is like, well, okay, you want to talk about like circumcision? Like, what the hell are you even talking about? Like, and Abdul Al-Sayed's point is like, what are we even talking about here? Okay. I'm being elected to be the senator of Michigan, and I'm trying to focus on the issues that people in Michigan are facing. And you want to talk about like WNBA. You also want the government to be the genital police. You want government. What are you saying? You want big government to inspect people? I mean, what's the MAGA position here? Here, play this clip.
We've decided he's just weird. They say sex sells, but this guy seems just obsessed with it.
Are you circumcised?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a
Jesse,
personal question.
Okay.
Doctor.
So you probably should want to move on.
And circumcision's different than castration.
Then Sean Hannity continues to, that was Hannity over there, more from Hannity over here, saying one of the issues that seems to be that brings all the Democrats together is a dangerous obsession with trans kids. Dude, but do you see I want you to see the state regime tactic here. This is all they talk about on Fox. And then they bring on a guest, and that's all they want to talk about. And then if you push back a little bit, like, oh my God, why are you saying these things? Because this is all you talk about. If you watch Fox, you would think the biggest issue is something about Enes Kanter freedom and WNBA and Sophie Cunningham, and that there are all these transgender women in the WNBA. There's zero. There's never been a transgender woman in WNBA. And I'll tell you what there's a lot of right now in the United States, broke people. I'll tell you what there's a lot of right now in the United States, people who are suffering right now, who can't afford gas, who can't afford diesel, who have lost their jobs, who can't afford rent, who can't afford a home, who have had their health care ripped away. That's what you want to talk about, real things that are impacting the American people? So stop freaking bullying the transgender community. Just stop bullying the community. These are human beings, damn it. Stop making up fake issues. But they don't want to talk about what's happening in real life because that's an acknowledgement of what I shared with you at the beginning, that Donald Trump's policies have been absolutely catastrophic. So here is Hannity, though. Let's play it.
And tonight, one of the issues that seems to bring almost all Democrats together is a dangerous obsession with trans kids.
And then more from Hannity talking about dingalings or something. Here, play this clip.
When I started in this business in my mid to late 20s, I never thought we'd be talking about dingalings. It was unfathomable. It's kind of sick and getting sicker every day.
And then Dana Perino's like, I do want Abdul El-Sayed to come on again, so we can really ask him more questions about windmills and if he thinks Enes Kanter Freedom should play in the WNBA. She's not joking, by the way. This is what they want to talk about there. What they don't want to talk about is how most American people right now don't know how they're going to pay rent that next month. Or they open up their fridge here and they go, is there anything going to be left in my fridge? Am I going to have to not go to the doctor? How am I going to make my kid food for lunch when the government's taken away lunch from my kid, and they said that my kid's involved in waste, fraud, and abuse, and they've taken away programs that help my kid get lunch? Here, play this clip.
It is going to be the Senate race to watch. I do hope that he comes back because Lake Michigan, I want to hear more about windmills.
Yeah.
On Lake Michigan, I want to hear about getting rid of the Second Amendment, and I want to know if he thinks Enes Kanter Freedom should play for the WNBA.
Great. And then you have this Will Cain show, and he brings on Jamie Harrison, and then he starts to ask Jamie Harrison all of these questions when they want to ask WNBA and what do you think about the DSA? What do you think about Sophie Cunningham? What do you like? Should transgender women be playing in the WNBA or what do you think about this? That's a good question. Dude, shut up. No one cares about this stuff. Okay, you know what we do care about? Treating human beings with dignity, treating the transgender community and all different communities as human beings, damn it, because they are human beings. Empathetic. Stop this weird obsession. All these MAGA Republicans wake up and they think about transgender people all the time. What do you think? Why don't you mind your own business? And excuse my language. Why don't you mind your own business? And why don't you just, let's keep government out of it and focus on you. Focus on you and stop being so freaking mean. Here, play this clip.
You invite somebody to come on your show to talk about the South Carolina Republican primary, and you don't even talk about the South Carolina Republican primary. This is the reason why you guys are disingenuous.
No, there's no reason.
Don't invite me to come on your show to talk about what. Listen,
Jamie,
don't invite me to come talk on your show about the South Carolina Republican primary,
Jamie,
and you spend all your time
tilting
talking
at windmills.
about the DSA, which I'm
listen
not
to me
even
for
a
a second.
member of. So
listen to me for a second.
Talk about the DSA. Invite.
All right, I'm going to have to cut you off, Jamie. Well, I'm about to tell you, if my staff told you that we were talking, Jamie, you can't hear me while you're talking. No. If my staff told you we were going to talk about the Senate in the Republican primary, then I apologize. I was under no pretense that I'd be talking to you today about a Republican primary. I don't know why I would book a former Democratic. All right, I'm going to have to cut you off. We're talking at the same time. It does nobody a service, not you, not me, or not the audience. But I would never be interested in hearing from a former DNC chair. Thank you, Jamie Harrison. I appreciate the time. I would hope for us to go better in the future. I would never book the former head of the DNC to talk about a Republican primary. What expertise or insight could I possibly hope? But while the Democrat Party goes through a fundamental transformation, whether it's...
Yeah, sorry, I cursed over there for a second. And then finally, you have the MAGA Republican Senate candidate in California whining about, they're going to ballot harvest in California. I'm going to lose because of the ballot harvesting. Dude, just shut up. Stop whining. Just address the issues that people care about and are concerned about, you freaking loser. Here, play this clip.
Exactly. I mean, look, she should have come here, because listen to the language there in court, which was depositing absentee ballots not belonging to you. That's legal in California. It's called ballot harvesting. It's the law. It happens the whole time. It's well documented. You got unions running around collecting ballots in nursing homes. You saw it filmed on Skid Row. I mean, this is what they've done. And people call it cheating and all the rest of it. It's been legalized. You have legalized cheating and corruption.
Anyway, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Sorry I cursed before. I usually don't curse. This came out. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.
So here's the headline that caught my attention for all the wrong reasons. Just in, Judge Talwani has lifted her order blocking the USPS rule on mail-in ballots for the 2026 elections. Talwani, clearly frustrated by the SCOTUS decision, says she has no choice and implies Supreme Court based on its ruling on flawed premises. So obviously, reading something like that might instill some degree of fear that Trump is succeeding in his bid to eliminate mail-in voting in accordance with his executive order in the lead up to the midterm elections. That is not the case. So here's a quick refresher on how we got here. Back in March, Donald Trump signed an executive order directing the Postal Service to only deliver mail ballots to voters on his pre-approved government list, to use new envelopes with mandatory barcodes, among other new edicts. This immediately triggered a wave of lawsuits, including one from a coalition of pro-voting groups and another from 23 Democratic-led states, plus Washington, D.C., led by California. A federal judge in Massachusetts, Judge Talwani, issued a permanent injunction blocking the order, Trump's order, in the California case. The administration appealed that all the way up to the Supreme Court, and on Monday, this week, the Supreme Court invalidated that injunction. That was what took over as the bad news that everybody had read about. Now, here's the part that matters, and the part that a lot of the panicked coverage is glossing over. The Supreme Court did not rule that Trump's executive order is legal. It didn't touch the merits at all of the executive order. What it said was purely procedural, that Judge Talwani moved too fast, that the order was based on speculation about what the USPS would eventually do before USPS had actually published that final rule. But since then, the USPS has finalized the rule, so now the whole process can move forward. But I think what's interesting here is that the administration hasn't even tried to defend this executive order on the merits in any of those lawsuits. They have spent the entire fight hiding behind procedural arguments about standing and timing, an issue called ripeness, because they know that if court actually had to weigh in on whether Trump has the constitutional authority to dictate how mail ballots are administered, they lose every time. And don't take my word for it, it is literally in the Constitution. Article 1, Section 4 is about as clear as constitutional text gets. The power to regulate the time, place, and manner of elections belongs to the states and to Congress, not the executive branch. Trump doesn't get a vote on how Massachusetts or California or any other state runs its own elections. He cannot unilaterally rewrite the rules for mail-in ballots any more than he could unilaterally rewrite the rules for who counts as American citizens. This isn't even a close call on the merits. And it's telling that Trump's own Justice Department seems to know that because, again, they haven't even bothered making the substantive legal case. Meanwhile, the Democratic-led states didn't just sit around while this whole process was playing out. They immediately filed a new lawsuit on Wednesday that called for a temporary restraining order on an expedited schedule. And in a separate case in D.C. on the same issue, Democratic plaintiffs renewed their own bid to block the order, arguing that now that the final rule exists at the hands of the USPS, the earlier procedural objections don't apply anymore either. So now they can actually litigate this thing on the merits. So in other words, the machinery of actually litigating whether this executive order is constitutional is now fully underway on multiple fronts, and this is a fight that Donald Trump has to actually win on the substance instead of hiding behind, well, you move too fast. Which brings me to the timing question, because this is where I think people should actually feel better about the outcome here, not worse. There is a legal principle that I've spoken about at length that's called the Purcell Doctrine. It's basically the idea that the courts have to be reluctant to change election rules too close to an election because it creates confusion and chaos for voters and election administrators. It's usually invoked by conservatives who are trying to block last-minute changes that favor Democrats. But now, that same logic cuts against the Republicans. So we're under 3 months out from the midterms, roughly 68, 69 days, litigating the actual constitutionality of this executive order, meaning full briefings, potential appeals, likely another trip up through the circuit courts. All of that takes time, a lot of time that Donald Trump does not have if the goal is to have this scheme fully implemented before November. So here's where this actually leaves us. Trump won a procedural skirmish about when courts can intervene, not a substantive victory about whether he has the authority to do any of this in the first place. The real fight, the fight about whether a president can unilaterally dictate how mail ballots are handled, that hasn't even started yet. And it's a fight the administration has spent months actively avoiding because the Constitution is not on their side. And even in the best case scenario for Trump, where the courts do move fast and everybody stays on an expedited schedule, the practical runway to actually stand up a functioning nationwide system before November is virtually impossible. And look, I know that, from a 30,000-foot view, news like this can feel despairing, especially when headlines make it sound like Donald Trump just won some sweeping victory to mess with how you vote. But I want to be really clear about something. This is nowhere close to a done deal. Democratic-led states and voting rights groups like the League of Women Voters and election attorneys, including Mark Elias and Norm Eisen, are fighting this on multiple fronts simultaneously in multiple courts right now. The moment that USPS published its final rule, the plaintiffs had new complaints filed within hours. That is a sign of a legal apparatus that is prepared and coordinated and moving as fast as the system allows. So yes, it's worth understanding the stakes here, absolutely, but our elections are still going to be free and fair this November because the people whose entire job is defending that outcome in court are there every single day making sure of it. You're watching the No Lie podcast. Next up are my interviews with Troy Jackson, Annie Andrews, and Norm Eisen. No Lie is brought to you by ZocDoc. So I am a procrastinator to the nth degree, and that includes making doctor's appointments because I just know that it's going to be a game of endless phone tag, only to finally call and find out that the next opening is months away. It's a fact of life that certain doctors are not available for a really long time, which is not great because generally when you're looking for a doctor, you're looking for one today. That's where ZocDoc comes in. Nobody wants to deal with that. And frankly, you shouldn't have to. ZocDoc lets you search and compare local in-network doctors. They have more than 150,000 providers within more than 200 specialties across all 50 states. ZocDoc's website has tons of reviews from real patients and detailed doctor profiles to help you choose the right one. See actual appointment openings and click to instantly book a visit. Appointments happen fast, usually within 24 to 72 hours. And you can even score same-day appointments. And ZocDoc is free to use. Your health matters, and taking care of yourself should not be complicated. Find and book the right doctor with ZocDoc. Head to ZocDoc.com/BTC to get intimately soaked with its premium from Toiletflix's Birch mattress is organic wool and natural latex to create luxurious mattresses designed to give you the best rest. Breathability. There's no mattress quality. BTC nominee for the U.S. Senate in Maine, Troy Jackson. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So I want to dive right into something that the vice president just said about Biddeford, Maine. There was an ICE killing that took place in Biddeford. Here's what he had to say.
When you have a law enforcement action, when you have somebody who is committing a crime in the United States of America, and you go and arrest that person. Now, I believe the person who was shot was not part of the underlying investigation, but when the officers approached the person they were trying to arrest, that person drove away from the scene. And what at least the law enforcement officers argue is that that person posed a danger to the community. Again, I'm not going to prejudge the case because I think everybody is entitled to their case, not in the court of public opinion, but a court trial by their juries, an actual real investigation, if that's what ultimately happens. Everybody is entitled to understand what's going on, whether what they're being accused of is actually legitimate, and ultimately, of course, if there is a criminal prosecution, then they're entitled to a jury by their peers. But when I look at that case, what I see is inevitably a country that is trying to enforce its laws, and that hasn't for a long time. And while Democrats get extremely agitated about this case, again, we're investigating that case. They're being dishonest if they say that we're not investigating that case. But what I see from Democrats is people who are far more worried about a shooting involving an illegal alien than they are about the fact that tens of thousands of Mainers died from fentanyl overdoses by that poison brought into our community. And so my message to the Democrats who are so worried about that situation is to say, have a little bit of perspective. We can absolutely investigate every shooting, and we will, but we can also secure our border and ensure that that poison stops coming into our country, and that is our priority, and that's our emphasis.
All right, so that was, again, J.D. Vance, who seems to be defending ICE amid the killing of a man from Maine. Can I have your reaction to that comment?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, really, what I think is like, what an asshole. I mean, people didn't do anything wrong. This young man, had his papers, had a social security number, was going to work. He had a 3-year-old daughter, and they murdered him in the street of Biddeford. And the guy that did it, was a rent-a-cop. Not really even law enforcement. And that is not what we need in this state and in this country. I mean, we need to be a welcome state. This is not, and I just think, JD is completely out of touch with what's going on. And that is the case. I mean, him and Susan Trump, they're all out of touch. They don't know what it's like for everyday Mainers. And I can't believe anyone would say that. I mean, even ICE said that this was not the guy they were looking for.
Yeah.
And they murdered him. I mean, there's just no other way to say it.
And to that end, I mean, you had mentioned Susan Collins being in lockstep with Donald Trump. She's voted with him 96% of the time. So can you please help me reconcile this chasm between how Susan Collins likes to present herself, which is as this moderating voice in the Republican Party, when at the same time she is as aligned with Donald Trump as nearly you could possibly.
Don't be the dead without a backup plan. I get it. You think you're invincible. You think it won't happen to you. But here's the brutal truth. Your family's financial security shouldn't depend on you staying alive forever. Smart dads are making moves right now. I purchased life insurance through Ethos because the process was actually
get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she's just a rubber stamp for the foolishness that's going on in this country, his agenda. And Mainers know now. I mean, they're watching how she plays this weird little game of how she counts the votes and then throws people a bone 4% of the time when they don't need her. But anytime that they need her, she's right there. When the big, beautiful bill, right there to get it out of committee. I mean, that's something that's killing healthcare in this state and in this country. I mean, we're really in jeopardy of our healthcare system crashing. The tariffs in Maine are killing this state, cross border. And, what's going on in Iran is, driving fuel prices.
Breaking news, White House staff has flipped on Trump. Yeah! Here's the thing. Watchdogs have said that 50% is turning over out of the White House from Donald Trump. Let me explain what this means, why we should celebrate, and exactly what the next level of this means connected to every fucking thing else. Because I'm going to break it all down to you right here, because this is not about news. This is about context, what it means to us as liberals and our fight against that fucker, all right, and his old administration. So what that means is that they see the writing on the wall and they know this shit is coming up. They know that the blue wave is on his way. They know that even though he's trying his hardest to fuck with the election, it's going to be hard. I pointed out that there are 10 groups who are there to stop him and delay him and deny and deflect him, and at the same time protect what is happening with the elections. Remember, the elections at the federal level is handled by Congress. Remember, the elections at the state level is handled by states. And they're not about to let Trump come in and fuck them up. Even if it's red states, they're red states that are clapping back at his ass and showing him what's up. So do not be worried. You got two jobs. You got two jobs. Job number one, make sure that you have your vote on, that you are ready to go vote. Job number two, make sure that you are by all means sharing this video and what this is really about, the truth of Trumpism, instead of just falling for this bullshit. I know a lot has happened today. We know Ghislaine Maxwell got denied any chance with the judge of getting out, thank God. Even though they say, well, Trump might pardon her. I doubt it. Not before the midterm anyways. But give it a try, Trumpet. Give it a try, see what happens. Go on, Cletus, go on. Hercules. But here's the other thing that's happening. We also have him making threats against the Kennedy Center if they don't do the renovation. We'll just tear the Kennedy Center down. That's not going to happen, y'all. That's not going to happen. You know why? Because the federal judges will rule in on that and shut his ass down. They'll try. Remember, try to steal the election, try to tear down the Kennedy Center, try to go against our laws, try to lie, try to manipulate, try to project authority that he does not have. This is trionomics of Trump, okay? The trionomics of Trump. Put trionomics in the comments. Put that, trionomics, because what he's trying to do is always project authority, lie, manipulate, and do all this stuff. So let's look at some other key things we need to understand. The reason this affects everything, the White House, people getting up out of there is like rats deserting the ship, because he already has an incompetent cabinet and incompetent staff. This just makes it dumber by the minute. Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy? Yeah, look it up. Watch it. I'm sorry, you're watching it now, but you get to watch a fictional tale of what is actually happening, okay? This is President Camacho who's trying to come in, just like from the movie, and do this. What I'm saying to you is that the way this is going to turn out is going to be bad for them. This is going to turn in the opposite direction for them, and not as expected. Because if they try to do a national emergency, shut down the elections, if they try to tear down the Kennedy Center, if they try to go in and assert their own rule and not pass a rule very clearly saying that the 120th Congress is active and that's the one we're voting for and we'll have the Democratic majority, then all they're going to allow the judicial branch to do is climb all over their ass and just tear them apart. He's trying in every way to deny elections, to fight, and he's doing it with the most incompetent staff ever. As I said before, 3,300 attorneys, first time in U.S. history, left the DOJ. The average experience was 14 years. The people they're hiring are fresh out of college. They're ill-prepared, and there's no fucking way they're going to be able to take on experienced staff. Where do you think those staff people went? Maybe they went to one of these 10 groups, like the shadow docket, who automatically pays them to come in, or like the corporate attorneys who are fighting back, or maybe the states in democratic cities who are fighting back, or the nonprofits who are fighting back. Maybe they went on to do those things. What do you think? Any chance they went over there to fight back? Good damn chance they did. Understand this, that they attorneys, good attorneys of veteran experience, can go corporate, they can go nonprofit, they could go to county, they can go to county parish, they can go to states. They got options. They can go to the cities. In fact, there's no shortage. They got options. And what I'm saying is we got an arsenal of constitutional lawyers to whip that ass. And I know a lot of you are worried about, what did the Supreme Court rule on? They ruled on him being able to make a list. So let me explain what that means. He's making a list. He's checking it twice. He's finding out who's naughty or nice. Ooh, I'm making a list. You're going to tell me. Woo, woo, woo. That's not going to work. That's just not going to work. Remember, these are incompetent fuckholes, and there's no way in the world that their incompetent bullshit list is going to block people 100% from voting. Are they going to try something? Yes, absolutely. But we know they're going to try. Put trionomics in the comments. Understand, trionomics is what he's trying to do. But what we know is the truth, which is fuck him. He's not going to be able to do that. And they got enough of power players on our side, 10 groups, 10, who are fighting against this fucker. So do not think, do not fret, do not worry. Understand at the federal level, we got the Democratic Congress, Independent Congress. We have the judges. By the way, fuck Jeffries. Okay, let's take a break here. I didn't really want to take time to talk about this gossip between him and this new BBF Kushner, but I really want to say this for a minute. Fuck Jeffries. Please, for a moment, will you just understand that this motherfucker has not been on our side? I am so tired. People coming in my comments, but what's wrong with Jeffries? Listen, you ain't paid attention to your own, anybody asking that, you ain't paid attention to your own motherfucking government, the history, operation, laws, economics of your government, any kind of civil. Well, I'm busy. I have my life. Okay, cool. No problem. So let me hip you up. When I tell you a motherfucker ain't shit and he needs to eat shit and he needs to go away, trust me, he does. Jeffrey has been a clusterfuck from go. He has been an absolute disaster case right there with Schumer. Fuck them. So independent Congress at the federal level, judges in the separate judicial branch, which has just as much power as the executive branch at another level, are the ones who are going to be in the way of any of this foolishness with the election. On the state levels are going to come in and fight, and they've been whipping his ass by 80% in the last 20 months. So there's that. And then we have, of course, the counties and parish presidents and blue mayors who've been supporting that, okay? And then we have, again, I call them the shadow docket, the quiet people who you don't know nothing about. Many of us don't know, people who are very powerful people who can make things happen. Why would they not be for Trump? A variety of reasons. These tariffs are ruining many of their businesses. This situation with Epstein is pointing out too much that may lead to them. So it may be some dastardly reasons they want Trump out. But at the same time, because they know JD will keep it hell of a lot more quiet and cool than Trump will. But then that's why I want Trump in there. The more he's around, he pulls himself, the administration, and GOP down. But here's the thing to understand out of this. What we're dealing with is a scenario where Trump has created such a visceral toxicity that even the White House staff is starting to flee and get out of there. Remember, he didn't win. He's not winning now. He's on the list. The list is coming out. If he lives so long, he's going to jail, and he's going to have company. Don't fret. We're winning. Don't fret. The election's not being stolen. Don't fret. Jared Kushner is an asshole, and he ain't getting any scapegoat. And Hakeem Jeffries is a son of a bitch, and he's always been since last year, okay? Everything will be okay. Fuck Ghislaine Maxwell forever. And those 30 survivors now have a court case against the Trump administration, the FBI, and the DOJ that isn't going away. It's going to make it worse for him. We're going to tear him down. We're winning. Again, he didn't win. He's not winning now. He's on the list. The list is coming out. He's going to jail if he doesn't die first. And I don't want him to die. I want him to be around so he can pull himself, the administration, the GOP down. And he's going to go to jail and he's going to have company. Stay cool.
I asked my husband, when did you get so big? His confidence hits different with Rougiette Ready. It dissolves under his tongue, works in 15 minutes on average, and can last for up to 36 hours. Rougiette Ready is the first ED formula with apomorphine, which helps fire up arousal signals in the brain, combined with sildenafil and tadalafil to amplify arousal and performance, not just blood flow. Honestly, he gets harder erections, he gets bigger erections, and yes, we have better sex. It's also up to 3 times stronger than generic ED meds, and 81% of men say they prefer Ready over other ED treatments. Now, I get why. He gets prescribed 100% online. It ships discreetly to our door, and it starts at just under $8 per dose. Fast-acting, long-lasting, built for confidence. Check out Rougiette Ready today.
Were you recently injured in a car accident? If so, you need to stop now. and immediately call an experienced
Trump started a trade war with Canada. Canada decided we're not going to surrender. And Trump now is reacting like a guy who flipped over the Monopoly board because no one would let him buy Park Place. Except it's not monopoly. It's international trade. It affects hundreds of billions of dollars. And Trump seems genuinely furious that Canada will not simply do whatever he tells them.
Oh, macho. Don't go down there. That's slippery, you know.
To do. How dare they think about what's best for them? So Trump spent yesterday just attacking Canada in a series of increasingly bizarre posts after Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said, we're not going to accept these demands. Trump wrote, Canada's been ripping the USA off for decades. They're charging our farmers tariffs of 400% or more. Canada's driving American businesses out of business. Now, all of this stuff is either straight up false or very misleading. For example, the 400% claim. Canada has very high over quota tariffs on certain dairy products, but those rates apply only after the dairy free, it's soy tariffs. No, after the tariff free quotas have been exceeded and the lower tariff quotas have been exceeded. But Trump doesn't care about that. He's angry because he has this negotiating strategy, which is everybody should bow down to me. And it's not working. He imposed tariffs. He said and thought and believed, I guess, Canada was going to panic. And Canada was going to run back and say, Mr. Trump, please, what do we have to do to make it stop? And Mark Carney is like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Now, one sticking point apparently is about Trump's demands to weaken protections for the French language in Canada. Trump came back and was like, I never said they couldn't speak French, but that's not what it was about. It was about packaging and labeling. And Mark Carney was just like, we're not going to do that either. So Trump announces 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. And then he starts this crazy posting spree. We would never interfere with Canadians speaking French. This is Canada's being the most difficult and unreasonable of any country I'm dealing with. And then he even had this insane statement where Trump said about Canada, they feel entitled, but they are not a state and will be entitled no longer. What's happening here is that Donald Trump grew up basically from the time he was a kid to expect others to behave a certain way with him. And now that Canada isn't behaving that way, Trump's incapable of interacting with them without reminding them of his fantasy that somehow a sovereign country will become the 51st US state, and then just posting time after time after time about Canada. Over the last 10 years, the US lost on average $60 billion a year with Canada, no more. This is another confusion for Trump. Trump describes a trade deficit as losing. That is not how trade deficits work. But my favorite part of the tantrum is that Trump got so angry at Ontario, which, by the way, is where the Canadian auto industry is very important to American trade. He was so angry with Ontario that he said, you know what? They might force me to rename Lake Ontario Lake America. So this is the childish toddler mentality. Canada won't give me what I want, so I'm going to rename a lake and then I'll show them. Now, the slight complication, of course, not that he cares, is Lake Ontario is an international body of water. It's bordered by both the U.S. and Canada. And Canada's response to all of this, so much of this I summarized for you yesterday. Now Canada has had a chance to respond. They're so scared of what Trump is doing, they're going to buckle. No, they're not doing it. Canada has announced $20 billion in retaliatory tariffs on American goods. So the sort of sequence here, simplified, is Trump started a trade war. Canada didn't back down. Trump insulted them. Canada is now retaliating. Trump escalated. Canada's refusing to capitulate. Trump is escalating more and threatening and saying they're being difficult and unreasonable and I will rename a lake. And then they're going, yeah, we don't care. We're not impressed by any of this. The master negotiator, bringing in a businessman, is going to be so good for the presidency. Other countries will bend to my will because I'm so tough. And you think they were scared of Obama?
No, they're scared of me. And instead, Canada has figured out something very important, which is Trump makes a lot of threats, but the threats only work if everybody is terrified to say, we're not going to bow down. And Canada has decided we are not going to bow down. Now, I got a couple of interesting questions in the email yesterday about what is the economic effect of these retaliatory tariffs. In other words, isn't there a zero-sum nature where if we put tariffs on 50 billion and they put tariffs on 50 billion, it just sort of balances out? You know, the answer to this, you don't really need to go more deeply than to say, well, it balances out in terms of trade, but everybody ends up paying more for stuff. Like, you could make that the analysis and leave it there. The truth is the analysis is a little bit more nuanced, and we're not going to be able to complete that analysis here. But the concept would be, depending on what we tariff from Canada and what Canada tariffs from the United States, it might not just be zero sum in this sense. If we tariff final goods from Canada, and this is hypothetical, and Canada tariffs component parts from the United States, which then are used to build higher value things in Canada, then that's probably worse for the United States than Canada. The details don't matter so much as the concept that what is being tariffed, the nature of what is being tariffed, how many substitutes there are for what is being tariffed. If we tariff something from Canada that there are easy alternatives for American businesses, then that changes versus whether it's something we can really only get from Canada. But it doesn't even really matter. The point is, trade wars make stuff more expensive for the average end user, the consumer. And this is when we're already in the middle of an affordability crisis. So it is a very bad idea. That's the important takeaway. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.
When I needed cash in between paychecks, I downloaded Dave. Now I have hobbies like pickling. Let me explain. Trying to juggle bills sometimes gets in the way of our hobbies. This time I got $350 to cover a bill. With Dave, you can qualify to up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. That way you can cover expenses and get back to the things you love. Download it now.
Never rush to sue the other driver after a car accident. There may be a much smarter way to get paid a much larger settlement without going to court or paying huge legal fees up front. If you've been in a car accident within the past year, even if you were only a passenger, you could still qualify for a major cash payout. While many people are stuck dealing with insurance companies, adjusters, and long legal headaches, others are receiving 6- and 7-figure settlements without ever seeing the inside of a courtroom. Here's how some accident victims are avoiding financial stress after a crash. It's called the 2026 Claim Assist Compensation Program, and it was recently rolled out in select states to help accident victims recover the maximum amount they may be entitled to without dealing directly with insurance companies, going to court, or paying costly legal fees up front. Right now, we're looking for just 5 more accident victims who want to see if they qualify for this program at...
The bottom has dropped out for Donald Trump. Analysts are shocked at the numbers, and Trump has dramatically lost a group of voters that got him elected. This you have to see. Remember that after the 2024 election, we had a remarkable situation, which was that Latino voters voted for Trump to a degree we have not seen for a Republican candidate ever. And there was a question: is the Latino population moving towards the Republican Party for good? Are they now Republicans? And I have some thoughts on that, but we have some new data. Harry Enton actually tweeted about this. He said, quote, "The bottom has completely fallen out for Trump with Latino voters. After winning a record share for a GOP nominee in 2024, just 28% of Latinos approve of Trump now. The drop with Latino men is even more dramatic. He won him by 10 in 2024. His net approval is now minus 41 points. Let's listen to this report.
Yeah, where are we now? What a different world. Oy vey if I'm the president of the United States, because just take a look here. Okay, Latino voters on Trump. He won a record share for a Republican presidential nominee, 46% of that vote, going all the way back since we had the advent of exit polls back in 1972. And look at where he is today. His job approval rating in an average of CNN polls this year, 28%. That is an 18-point drop. The bottom has completely fallen out when it comes to Donald Trump and Latino voters. He won record numbers of them back in 2024, and they have abandoned him with the utmost just dislike of what he is doing so far. Just 28%, a drop of 18 points.
Now, among Latinos, it was Latino men who were driving this movement toward him in 2024. Where are they now?
Yeah, you think that this movement is a lot? What about Latino men? Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, Latino male voters. In the 2024 election versus Kamala Harris, look at this. Trump won him by 10 points. Look at the net approval rating now, minus 41 points. That is a movement of 51 points, a shift away from the president of the United States. Latino male voters supercharged that record performance that Donald Trump had with Latino voters, and they, like Latino women, Latinas, are moving against the president of the United States.
All right, you get the point. Latino men, Latino women, everybody's moving against Trump after record numbers with Latino voters, especially Latino men in 2024. There were a lot of pundits in 2024 who were convinced this is permanent and this is an ideological conversion. Latino men in particular have become more right-wing, and now they are voting for Republicans. That was never true. And I suspected this at the time because of the conversations I was having with Latino voters. As many of you know, I'm a Hispanic immigrant from Argentina to the United States. I'm constantly in touch with voters, many voters who vote and primarily are engaging with Spanish language content, interestingly enough, rather than English language content. And it seemed extraordinarily narrow and personal, personality driven rather than ideologically driven. In legacy and corporate media, you often hear them talk about Latino voters as if they have shifted ideologically and are a single unified bloc. The reality seems to be that there was a group of Latino voters, particularly
Let me handle your trading for 1 month. All you need is $20 in your brokerage, and you'll see for yourself by the end of it.
But how do you actually do it?
I look for trades while you go about your day, and you don't...
Trump just dug his own grave. I'm going to keep this real simple to the point. This is going to be a short video, but share it. Here's the deal. Donald Trump wants to spend $400 million of the midterm campaign money on himself. You couldn't ask for anything any better. You talk about screwing the Republicans. He basically wants to do a bunch of pieces on him and being Trump instead of talking about people's issues, which does nothing but play into our plan to destroy him. So I am all for that, Smoke, and hopefully you are too. Here's the thing to understand. He keeps walking into it. The 50%.
I'm really glad that you keep reminding us about the institution that is the U.S. Postal Service and how long it's been around and how much trust it has garnered and how that is now being weaponized against the American people. Because I think people have to understand this might be bigger than the SAVE Act. Like this Postal Service nonsense could end up disenfranchising people in many states.
Aloha, Kitty. What up?
Who vote entirely by mail.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's huge. And you know, Postal Service, you go back to the early presidencies, that's pretty much all they had to do.
All they had
was
to do.
get the mail delivered. That was their biggest job.
That's right. So thank you for staying on top of that story, my friend. You have a great evening.
Thanks.
The 11th hour starts now. Tonight, bombshell new reporting from MS Now.
Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani is traveling to Iran for talks on de-escalating tension in the region. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majid al-Ansari says the visit comes in line
No goddamn mercy. None at all.
with the state of Qatar's firm position that the diplomatic path is the best means of resolving differences and promoting security and stability in the region. The discussions will also address freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz and the need for it to return to the status quo prior to February the 28th. Sinem Kosolu is in Tehran ahead of the visit with more.
There's a growing sense in Tehran tonight that diplomacy is gathering pace despite a broader agreement remains some way off. On Thursday, Qatar's Foreign Minister and Prime Minister Sheikh Abdulrahman Al Thani is going to pay a visit to Tehran to meet with high-level Iranian officials. The aim of the visit, as per the Qataris, is to de-escalate tension and create a platform for dialogue. This visit comes after a very busy week with the visits from Pakistan's army chief, followed by Oman's foreign minister. Qatar hopes that all these negotiations may create a platform for dialogue between Iran and the United States. We heard Omanis and Iranian officials saying that they agreed on a framework for a temporary shipping route in the Strait of Hormuz, which is the most urgent problem in the region for now.
The CEO of Flock is urging a national compromise over the Flock surveillance cameras, as communities across the country are not only destroying Flock cameras, but now you even have Republicans coming out and saying Flock is a bridge too far. Ron DeSantis today said that he's going to do something on Flock cameras because they abridge too much on privacy. Tempe, Arizona canceled all of its contracts with Flock cameras. But the CEO of Flock says we need a compromise on your security and your privacy. And while most Americans hear that and say, we don't want anything to do with your surveillance type state, there are over 120,000 Flock cameras. And the problem with Flock cameras, as you know, they are misused far too often, especially by law enforcement. The Flock cameras are meant to help track down, for example, someone who committed a crime or a missing child. But instead, they're being used by law enforcement to track down their girlfriends, their ex-wives.
Iran just came out with a statement telling Trump if he doesn't stop funding Israel's terror on Lebanon and Beirut, that they are going to hit Israel and flatten it. That's fine by me and fine with half of the, just about all the people in the United States, except for the Zionists. But last month, when Donald Trump went to China, President Xi told Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin has told Donald Trump, if you continue to support Israel, you will be in big trouble. Israel is finished. Israel is the root of the problem around the world. Israel is not the solution. Israel is not a godly country. It is an evil Zionist country. And Donald Trump has been warned time and time again not to continue to fund Israel or help Israel. So now Iran, Beirut, and the United Arab Emirates are going to attack Israel. They're going to flatten Israel. And Donald Trump is going to have to stand on the sidelines with his hands behind his back and watch as his buddy gets done away with. You can count Israel as gone. God loves you. I love you.
This is Angelo Musicaro. He is currently a pastor and former deputy sheriff and school resource officer in Florida. And last week, he was charged with sexually abusing at least 4 little girls under the age of 12. And this is what Facebook had to say about it. And mind you, all of the comments I'm about to show you were made by women. One woman says, I do not believe this. Innocent until proven guilty. He is an awesome pastor. Okay. Another woman says, just ruin this guy's life, if not true. Not even a second thought for the little girls who said that they were sexually abused, huh? Another woman said, funny how these charges came to light right after he said he was running for sheriff. And then another woman replied, I was thinking the same thing. And then another woman replied saying, exactly. As if 4 little girls under the age of 12 got together to orchestrate a political takedown of your favorite pastor. Bear in mind, all of these little girls had to speak to a forensic psychologist in immense detail to even get these charges pressed. Listen, I know that all women are under the intense weight of systemic misogyny, but my God, some of you just fucking suck. This is Angelo Musicaro. He is currently...
This message is for crackers.
A school cop heard guilty 29 times and collapsed in the courtroom. Stephen Carroll was the resource officer at West Scranton High, the cop assigned to protect students. A jury convicted him of rape and 28 other offenses against 5 boys. He supplied them alcohol, chose kids from troubled homes. At least once it happened inside the school, in uniform. 2 boys reported it back then. Nothing happened. State police investigated for 3 years. The DA declined a charge. A statewide grand jury revived the case in 2024. Guilty on all but 1 count. If this story matters to you, subscribe. A school cop heard guilty 29 times and collapsed in the courtroom. Stephen Carroll was the resource officer at West Scranton High, the cop assigned to protect students. A jury convicted him of rape and 28 other offenses against 5 boys. He supplied them alcohol, chose kids from troubled homes. At least once it happened inside the school, in uniform. 2 boys reported it back then. Nothing happened. State police investigated for 3 years. The DA declined a charge. A statewide grand jury revived the case in 2024. Guilty on all but 1 count. If this story matters to you, subscribe.
Donald Trump is delivering a death blow to himself come the midterms in November. It is a sight to behold. And I'm not talking about the death blow that Iran is threatening with Barron, which our Secret Service claims that they are monitoring. I'm talking about Donald Trump saying that he's going to use that MAGA Inc. PAC money that he's grifted with all of those deranged emails he sends. I need you to help me. I need your money right now. Do you still love me? You know, all of those messages. He raised like $400 million. And so the MAGA Republicans are like, who's he going to spend it on? How is he going to deploy it? Is he going to help us? Well, Donald Trump has made a decision.
Hey, y'all, I'm about to reset. Give me like 5 minutes. I'm going to come up with a new title, new topic, and we running.
Trump plans to buy.
Y'all cool with that?
Midterm ads about, drum roll please, himself. He's going to take ads out that feature him and say how great things are and that Americans are living the golden age and that gas prices are amazing and that we've won the war in Iran and that his trade war against the world has made us richer and that farmers have never been happier and that this is the golden age delivered that he promised, when of course.
All right, y'all. Give me 5 minutes. We starting over.
We know it is the absolute exact opposite.
To stalk people, it's bad. And well, the CEO wants a compromise.